Hey tappers, welcome to Tapping Tuesday. Now, today is pre-recorded. I want you to know that right off the bat. So if anything seems a little bit different or weird, or you're wondering why I'm not directly saying hi to you, that is why. Okay. If it is your first time here, welcome. If it is not your first time here, welcome back. As I said, things are a little bit different today. Normally, I am live and interacting with you in real time on our Tapping Tuesdays. However, this Tuesday happened to fall on the same day as my daughter's field trip. And it's very important to me to be involved in her childhood. So this time I am coming to you with a recording instead. However, there's no way I was going to leave you without a tapping video if I could help it. So I have something kind of fun, experimenty a little bit, not very much, for us to play around with in our tapping session today. And you will have to let me know how it works for you. Okay? Just a quick rundown. What we're going to be doing in the next hour is called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, also known as tapping. So if you've seen this, that is what we're doing here on this channel for the next hour. Now, if you already know what to do, that's fantastic. I really want you to empower yourself to go with the flow that feels right for your body. If you don't know what you're doing, don't worry, follow along with me and you'll have it down by the end of the session. Now, one thing I do that's different here than I would in like a normal session face to face with you is I don't normally go through all of the tapping points exactly as we're taught when we start learning EFT. There's two reasons for that. One, you really only need one spot. It's not ideal, but it does work. Each acupoint has its own benefit associated with it, but as far as the brain connection that we're working on creating by tapping, one acupoint will do. The second reason is because I want to be as boring as possible. I want this experience to be between you and your body because that is where all of the effect is going to happen. I am here as a support, I am here as a guide, but you are the one who is needing permission to do the magic, okay? So if I am on a tapping spot and you really want to go somewhere else with it, please give yourself permission to do that. And I'll help guide you as much as I can as we go throughout this session. Now, normally I would take suggestions live through our live chat. Obviously, I can't do that today, but please feel free to email me with any thoughts or any questions that you have. My email is fable, F-A-B-L-E, at EFTuniverse.com. And of course, any suggestions that you send to me over the course of this week, I will include in next week's live, where we'll be back together in real time again. Okay, so let's go ahead and take just a moment to get grounded. Pull ourselves into this present moment, into this present day body that we have with us right now. So let's go ahead and take a breath and let that out. And let your body just kind of slump over. We'll sit up straight in just a moment. But for right now, just relax. Let's do another breath. And relax. And now just breathe normally. And as you're breathing, notice your body. Notice how you're sitting, standing, laying. Notice if you have a joint that wants to move or constrict. If you're cold, if you're hot, if you're thirsty, if you need to go to the bathroom. If it's something easy to take care of, please go ahead and give yourself permission to do that right now. Any signals that we can give to our body of, I'm listening, I'm hearing you, and right now is our turn to relax. Go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and take another breath. And now I want you to imagine kind of like a cartoon character outline. Just outline around your body, and it moves with you. It's dynamic, but all around your fingers, around your hand, your wrists, around your waist, your legs, your toes, you have this outline. And inside of this outline is you. But how much of you is actually inside of this line? and how much of you is out there somewhere where your attention is drawn to a future event, a past event, something happening right now, something that you're imagining that it may happen or may be unlikely to happen. Are you dissociating and you're not quite sure where you are in space? Just get a number of where this line is around this body that you currently have. How much of you is inside the line? How much of you is outside the line? And as you consider that, let's take a breath. And then whatever number you have, we're not judging it, we're not shifting it, we're just acknowledging it. Go ahead and choose a color for your outline. And maybe a texture, so like a glowy, soft red, or a neon bright blue, or rainbow flashy, whatever it is that feels correct for you. And allow that to continue as a beacon for the parts of you that are out there somewhere. That it is drawing its attention, the rest of you, to come back to this present moment. And that even if it's like, no, this piece of me needs to stay there, that's important, that it can see this beacon, it can feel this beacon, and it's a shared experience with 100% of you, wherever every bit of you might be in this moment in time. Okay, let's take one more breath. And out. Nicely done. Okay, so what I have here on my little notebook is a list of twos. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we get stuck in overwhelm, it's because something has become too, and I mean TOO, too much, too big, too heavy, too scary. I have too big, too small, too heavy, too risky, and too scary on the list. So hopefully that will cover something that you were looking to address today. And if not, please feel free to substitute a word that fits better for you in with whichever one I'm suggesting, because that is your brain saying, this is okay, but this one's better. This is going to help us target what we're looking to do more. And absolutely trust that instinct always. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start tapping. And let's start off with too big. Oh, I'm going to yawn on you. Whew. Apparently, I'm already shifting. So go ahead and think of something that is too big. For whatever reason, it's too big. It could be it's too big because it's too much pain, too big because it's too complicated, because it's bigger than me and I can't control it. In whatever way it is too big, just go ahead and take a moment and define that. Okay, and don't worry if you don't have it completely figured out yet. Maybe you'll be able to get that clarity on the way with tapping. But even without the perfect word, your brain is really smart and is really capable of knowing what you're looking for, even if consciously you haven't found it yet. Okay. As I consider this thing that I'm facing right now, that is just too big for me to face, too big for me to be successful with, too big for it to turn out the way that I want. I still choose right now to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though right now I completely acknowledge it is too big. It's so big, much too big. And I don't have any solutions yet. I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though right now, as I consider this issue that is too big, and I've got all problems and no solutions, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. This problem, this really big problem, this big problem that I feel in my body, this big problem that I think about in my mind, this big problem that interrupts my soul, too big. I wonder, is it true? Is it really true? Is it so very true that it is too big? Yes. No. I don't know. Even if right now I'm sure or unsure if it's really too big, I hold space to be curious and maybe discover a different perspective. A different perspective. What could that be? Well, if I am using different words other than big, which I guess the alternate or the opposite of that would be small, so not big and small, could I call it loud? Could I call it intense? Could I call it disruptive? As I consider other words for this thing that is so big in my life, I wonder, why does it matter? Why do I care about other words that just tell me the same thing? How is this offering me a different perspective? Even if, as I begin to try to look for a different perspective, I feel resistance, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. And I continue to hold space. I can keep this same perspective, but it's not doing me any good. I don't have any answers. I've tried. I have not found them here. So, if there's a chance, maybe it's worth a try. And maybe I won't find anything, and I'll just be stuck with the same perspective. what if I do figure something out? That would be worth my time. Worth my time. A new perspective. This problem that is too big. Okay, I'll give it a try. I wonder, what if I chose a color? A color that is representative of too big for me. What does that look like? Does it look like it's been painted on by paint, a marker, a pastel, a crayon? Is it more of a diffusion of light, a plasma, a giant, enormous shooting comet? What is it? What is this color? And how does it interact with me? This color, of this too big problem. Okay, now what? Well, do I feel that this color, that is this problem, is it me? Am I made of the same color? Do I have that same frequency, vibration in my DNA? Is that who I am? Or am I a different color? Is my vibration, my frequency, expressed in a different wavelength? So consider what your color is. And it can be any way you want it to be. It can be neon, it can be flashing, it can be every color, it can be no color. Whatever you feel is representative of your energy. Go ahead and really feel that. Really feel that vibrancy flowing through this body of yours. I wonder, what happens when you mix two colors together? Isn't it true that they have an effect on each other? Even if you take the tiniest bit of one color and stir it into a very large amount of other color, doesn't it have an effect? Yes, that's generally how that works. And this energy, that is me. I am an energy making machine. Even though I get tired and I run out of energy, meaning I don't want to do anything else at some point in my day, the truth is, I am always emitting my energy. So even if, by comparison, this little color that I am is small, and this too big issue is much larger, I do have an effect. with my color. And I can continue to approach it and have an effect. Yeah, okay, all of this talk about colors, what does this have to do with my real problem? It's not solving the real problem. Even if, as I consider this other perspective, I still feel pushback. I acknowledge the parts of me that don't want to have to look so hard for an answer, and that just want it to be easy and done. Maybe there's parts of me that don't want to be creative. There are parts of me that don't want to be what's the other word I'm looking for? Metaphorical. I just want my answer and that's it. Even if there are parts of me that are resistant because I'm just tired and I want to be done, I continue to hold space for this new perspective. Because isn't it true that the very fact that I'm here trying means I'm not as done as I feel like I am. I am still trying. Okay, so I'm still trying. What does colors have to do with helping me with that? Well, isn't it true that my brain is very powerful and my subconscious brain sees and understands so many patterns that my conscious brain, I just don't compute. Like it's just not even aware of it, such as the pH balance of my blood, my oxygen getting translated from my lungs into my bloodstream, down into my muscles, my organs, balancing the food that I eat, what goes, what stays, how it gets broken down, what gets repaired, how to balance my cholesterol. Like, wow, all of these things. Yeah, okay. So maybe if I gave my subconscious brain a way to feel empowered, to feel permission, to feel some strength in this situation, instead of just feeling that it's too big, maybe it would start to see some patterns that I'm not seeing right now. And maybe it could start to tell me different choices, different aspects that right now I don't notice. And wouldn't that be worth it? So even though talking about color may not give me the concrete success and answer and relief that I'm looking for right now, perhaps it does give me a different way to help my brain work on a solution. Finding my solution. Seeing my strengths. Acknowledging my influence. trusting my ability to change things. Permission to my subconscious brain to figure it out. And as I give this a try and apply my frequency to this other frequency and hold space to trust that there's a change, maybe I'll notice a difference. And maybe I won't. But whether or not I suddenly feel inspired by it, or it takes a little bit more to play around with, I choose to acknowledge any and all progress that my influence provides. And as I continue to seek my ability to invoke change, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, go ahead and pause on tapping. Take a deep breath. Nicely done. So if through that you were noticing that you were sighing, yawning, stretching, wanting to move your body, crying, feeling inspired, feeling lighter, if you think about how you feel about that too big issue now versus when we very first started tapping, is there a change? Does it feel smaller? Do you feel more capable? Do you feel more open, more curious, more at peace about it? All of those are positive signs that something that you said your subconscious brain agrees with and says, "Oh, you're right. This is more powerful. Let's look at it this way from now on." And it's building those neuron pathways, and it will continue to do that even though you're not focusing on it anymore. So congratulations. That's a good job. Alrighty, let's look at. I am going to go just down my list because I think too small is a really good one to do next. So as you consider what might be too small, you could absolutely consider yourself. You know, do you feel too small in something? Do you feel like your influence in what you're wanting to do is too small? Your knowledge on something, is it not enough? So not enough would be another way to say too small. Is the ability of others to assist you too small? Is your trust in something too small? You just can't get there for it. So whatever you can identify with those prompts or something else that just pops into your head, go ahead and figure out how you're going to phrase too small. Let's go ahead and start tapping. As I consider how this is too small in my life for me to have what I need, for me to receive what I want, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though, as I consider how this is too small in my life, and I have feelings about that, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though, as I continue to consider how painful it is that this is too small, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Too small. Too small. Not enough. Can't do it. Won't happen. Too small. As I consider all of the aspects of how true all of this feels, I acknowledge all of the feelings that I have with that. Maybe grief, sadness, pain, depression, apathy, shame, embarrassment, loneliness. And I acknowledge these and any others that I'm aware of, and where they are in my body. And I allow myself to acknowledge their weight, the way that they interrupt in my body. I wonder, as I consider the aspects of too small, where did I learn that this was so painful? Where did I learn that this was so shameful? Is there ever a time where it's okay for things to be small, smaller than wanted? And maybe it doesn't feel okay. It's not where I want to stay. But is there any other way that's allowed, that's logical to feel, other than all of these feelings that I already have about too small? I wonder, what could they be? Well, what is it that I believe now about things that are too small? Not even just this thing, but anything. Anything that's too small. Well, it's not enough. And then what? That's not okay. It's judged. It's rejected. Okay. What parts do I feel responsible for right now with this thing that's too small? What parts am I hearing that myself or others are telling me that it's because of me? I wonder, do I believe that? Do I? Yes. No. I don't know. Whether or not I believe or agree that any of this is my fault or my burden, I wonder, what would happen if I changed my definition of how I look at too small, of how I approach too small or not enough? Because isn't it true that too small is necessary when any type of growth is expected to occur? How else do you expand to fit the space of something new? Don't you have to start out as too small? So maybe instead of this moment being a pass fail, of which I'm definitely failing if I look at it that way, maybe there's more to it. And I'm in a growing phase with this. And maybe I don't want to be in a growing phase with this. Maybe that doesn't feel like good news to me. But wouldn't it be better than that being the end? Because isn't it true that even with how icky this feels, I'm not ready to be at the end. I am still wanting change. I am still wanting success. Okay. So what does that look like now? If it's not too small, the end, but rather too small, still growing, what do I do with that? Well, what does anything do when it's in a growth phase? I suppose it looks for supports. knowledge, nutrients, nurture, feedback. Okay. Can I hold space to find ways to realize these pockets of opportunity that just might exist in this scenario for me? Now, maybe I'm actively looking for them and I'm so excited to just go hunt them down. And maybe, I'm too tired. I've got too much to do. I don't have it in me. So I'm just expecting the cosmos to figure it out and leave it at my doorstep. Whether I am ready to run, find it, or I'm holding space for it to find me, I do choose to create a space to notice a pathway for growth, notice a pathway for support, notice a pathway for knowledge, for nurture, for a next step. And maybe these steps will come really quickly and easily. And maybe they'll come slowly over time and with difficulty. But whether they come quick and easy or slow and hard, I continue to hold space to receive. This thing that's too small, holding space, holding space for growth. And as I allow myself to pursue this pathway at whatever pace is right for me, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, pause on tapping and take a deep breath. Nicely done. Now take just a moment and think about how you felt that first thought when you thought of what was too small. And think about how you feel now when you think about it. Is there a difference? Do you feel better in some way or in a couple of different ways? And any of those signs that I mentioned before, if you experience any of those, again, that is your brain agreeing with you to shift perspective, which is really powerful because now you're going to start to interpret your environment differently without any other efforts. Not to say you can't put more effort into it, but what you've done is already starting to shift, and that is so exciting. So congratulations. Okay, let's see. I didn't look at the clock when I started recording, so I don't actually know when the hour will be up, but I'm going to say I think we've got about 10 more minutes. So I'm going to do another little tap. I have too heavy, too risky, and too scary. I'm feeling too heavy, so let's do that. So when we say too heavy, we could take that literally, we could take it metaphorically. It could be like a literal spiritual thing, It could be, um, this grief is too heavy for me to carry. This responsibility, is too heavy for me to hold. This problem it's too heavy. It's too expansive. It's kind of another way of saying too big, but anything that when you think of it, you feel that just that weight put onto you. Could fit in great for this one. So let's go ahead and start tapping. And again, if heavy does not fit for you, if you want to use another word, please do. Anytime I say, this thing's too heavy, please put in your own word. As I consider where this heaviness exists for me, and I have identified this thing that's too heavy, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though right now I'm unsure how much I really want to focus on it because it's too heavy, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though, as I know I'm engaging in a tool set that's helpful for stuff like this, it just feels like so much. I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Too heavy. This thing. This thing in my life. This heaviness. This immense weight. I wonder, do I have to face it? Do I have to try to do anything with it? Yes. No. I don't know. Well, I wonder what would happen if I didn't try to do anything about it. I know I don't want it to get worse. I don't think I want to ignore it. So what other choices do I have? Other choices. My other choices. Other choices for this heaviness. I wonder if I had to choose a percentage of how much this heaviness is engulfing me right now, what would my number be? Go ahead and figure out that number, and you can assess it in whatever way feels truthful to you. It may be a heaviness within your physical body, a heaviness in your heart, in your soul. Whatever way you want to define it, that is the correct way. Okay. I guess it's that much heavy for me. So, what's the rest of this space? If there is any. What is it filled with? Or is the whole universe just buried in this heaviness with me? No, there's other things. Even if I don't feel other things within me, I can acknowledge that there are other things. There's gentleness, there's connection, there's joy. I can see that. I can recall that when I think of other people or other things. I wonder, how much presence do those things have? How much presence does joy have? Or peace? Or trust? Or kindness? Even just a neutral space. Does it have a density? Sure, why not? Okay. Do I believe, do I have knowledge of, does it have the same density or different than this heaviness that I'm dealing with? Go ahead and determine what feels true to you. Okay. But why does that matter? Well, what if I can't release or fix or adjust or cure this heaviness by trying to resolve the heaviness? But what if I just poured in, invited in another vibration? Well, okay, how is that going to solve anything? Well, maybe it won't. Maybe this isn't my answer to solve anything. Maybe this is simply my answer to feel better. Maybe this is just my answer to feel relief, to feel a pause, to feel a foothold of empowerment so that I can continue. Well, okay, that sounds nice. But how do I do that? Well, how do I feel heavy? What permissions am I giving it to have the space that it has? What would happen if I gave that same permission to some of these other feelings and vibrations? They don't even have to directly have anything to do with the heaviness. It's a valid question. What permission am I giving to this heaviness? Well, of course I'm giving it permission. It is valid. This is heavy. It is hard. And I am going through it. Absolutely. Of course. All of that makes perfect sense. I wonder, do I have the belief that if I'm going through something heavy, I cannot choose anything that feels nurturing or uplifting or kind or joyful? Even if in my past I was taught that heavy had to be hard, had to be miserable, had to be lonely, had to be tough, I give myself permission to choose differently in this moment. Because this moment is already hard enough. And I choose differently for myself. I choose to offer myself a friend. I choose to offer a softness to this heavy space. That does sound great. How do I do it? Well, maybe I start simple and I just work on receiving something, anything. Maybe I use my 5 senses and I make it a little scavenger hunt where I look for something that's joyful or soft or kind. And when I see it, I take a moment and I acknowledge it. And I allow that to feel in my body. And then I look for something to hear, something to touch, something to taste, something to smell. That could be interesting. And maybe this won't give me a solution. But maybe it will help me to not feel so weighed down as I continue looking for one. This weight, this heaviness, my senses, my observations, receiving lightness into my equation. And as I do this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, pause tapping and take a deep breath. Well done. Now take just a moment. I think I'm probably over an hour now, but take just a moment and think about how you felt with too heavy at the beginning of that tap. And when you think of it now, how different does it feel? And in what ways is it different? And take just a moment to acknowledge those. Thank you so much for being here with me this week. And I'm so sorry I wasn't here to be with you live. But thank you for understanding and allowing me to share my time with the special events in my child's life. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I hope that you feel better. And I hope that I get to see you next week. Email me with questions. I will post a video on Friday. And I hope that I get to see you soon. Love ya. Mwah.